Put your hand back for me.
Why?
Under arrest.
Why? So you're coming up?
Here, drop the phone here. What? Put the phone in the front.
This is a story that is going to have you talking. We have the newly released Bodycam video of a situation that is getting a lot of attention, and it's stirring up a lot of debate about parenting. This mom and her boyfriend could go to prison for allegedly leaving her 2 children home unattended at night as they drove more than an hour away. We'll show you what police say they found in the home that gave them concern. But there's perhaps more to this story. The kids left behind, they were 8 and 10 years old. So are they old enough for this not to be a problem? Some think so. We'll take a look at what the law has to say. We're on The Case, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. Parenting is hard. I can tell you that. It can put you in some very stressful situations. And there's a story that we're following out of North Georgia that is creating a lot of debate. Let me set the scene for you. Alexandra Woodward is a divorced mom. And on the night of April 15th, police were called to a house in Calhoun, Georgia. It's about an hour and a half north of Atlanta. It's around 11 p.m. Inside that home, police find 2 boys, ages 10 and 8. Their parents are nowhere to be found.
Hey, it's Calhoun Police.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, guys? What's going on? Where, is your dog gonna get me?
No.
No?
I have him shut in here.
Okay. What's going on, guys? Is it okay if I come in here?
Yeah.
Is anybody else home right now? No. I got you. Where's your mom at?
She went out to get stuff out of the storage unit.
I got you. Are you still on the phone with your dad? Yeah? Okay. Can I speak to him real quick? Thank you, buddy. Hey, it's Officer Bodycam.
Hi there. I'm glad you're there.
So what's going on?
They've been left at home alone since about 9:15.
Okay.
Her storage unit is in Duluth. Her and her boyfriend left.
Who's Alex Woodward?
That is my ex-wife.
She's calling the phone right now. Should I answer it or no?
That's his mom because she can see the cameras that you guys are there.
There's a camera right
Gotcha.
So she's currently probably loading up her storage unit almost 2 hours away.
Right.
And left this 8.
Gotcha. All right.
With a 10-year-old.
It's an 8 and you're 10, and your brother's 8. Gotcha. Okay. I'm gonna hand the phone back to him. Give me 1 second, okay? There you go.
The 2 boys are home alone. One of them reportedly called their biological father, who's Woodward's ex-husband, who then called police. He said an 8 and 10-year-old should not be left alone at home. The officer then steps outside, and it does appear from the body cam video that he goes on a search engine and then to a website to see what the law says about whether this could be a crime. He then goes inside the house and asks the boys to call their mom, and they say that she drove an hour south toward Atlanta to take care of something at a storage unit.
What's going on?
Hey, this is Officer Bodycam with Calhoun Police Department.
Hi. What's going on?
So, we got a call from the children's father, and they told us that you've been gone since about 9:15.
I'm sorry?
That you've been gone for about 9:15 and left the 10 and 8-year-old home alone by themselves.
No, I haven't been gone that long.
Okay, how long have you been gone then?
20 minutes?
20 minutes?
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. When's your mom leave? Both of your children are saying 9:15, and the father told me 9:15. So
I'm sorry, can you say that again? It was connecting.
both of the children told me you've been gone since 9:15, and the father told me you've been gone since 9:15. So somebody, either the children and the dad are lying, or you're lying to me.
Their dad doesn't live here.
I understand that. Yeah, they've been on the phone with them for a little while in Duluth, going to a storage building.
He doesn't live in Duluth either.
10 and 8.
Is there a problem?
Listen, it doesn't matter how long you've been gone. You left a 10-year-old and 8-year-old children here by themselves.
Yeah, I thought that 10-year-olds are allowed in the state of Georgia.
No, 13-year-olds. And technically, you left a 10-year-old here to watch an 8-year-old. The child has to be 15 or 14 or 15 years old to be able to watch a younger child.
Okay.
Where are you at right now?
15 minutes away.
You said about 30 minutes away?
Hang on, let me check the GPS. Yeah, it might be.
So how are you 30 minutes away, but you've only been gone for 20 minutes?
There's no law.
There isn't a law in Georgia that says that they cannot. It's 10 years old.
Probably talk to Tanner. Probably 94.
Yes, there is, ma'am. Listen, y'all just need to get here as soon as y'all can, okay? Because y'all cannot be leaving kids here home alone.
I'm aware. They were in bed.
That doesn't matter, ma'am. Are y'all on the way here? What was that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just get here as soon as you can, okay?
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Here you go, buddy.
Thank you.
So, call Tanner.
And see what he thinks.
Because I looked up this. Like I knew there was something.
Yeah, honestly, you'd probably get reckless conduct on it. Tanner probably tell you high five. He has it. And there ain't no other adult here.
Hey. So the father called saying that his 10-year-old and 8-year-old son are at their mother's house home alone. And he said that the mom's been gone since about 9:15, going to Duluth, Georgia, to a storage unit. And I got here, and the kid said that the mom left at about 9:15, and they've just been here. There's no other adult here. It's just a 10-year-old and 8-year-old boy.
It's about an hour away.
And they said that they're still about like 30, 45 minutes away, coming home right now.
Their dad who can watch them back.
The mom, but the father is also en route too. He's about an hour away. 8 and 10. I mean, they seem fine. They've been on the phone with their dad. Their dad told them that they were coming, so I don't think they're like super upset or anything right now.
Like 15 minutes.
I was just gonna see what you think I need to do with something like this. Okay. Alright, let me go ahead and get all the children's name and stuff, mom's and dad's name, do a report over it. Alrighty, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Now, it seems police are even somewhat unsure of what to do in this situation. According to the Department of Children and Family Services in Georgia, kids under 8 years old should not be left alone. For kids between 9 and 12, it's less than 2 hours, and kids need to be 13 or older to be a babysitter, and children older than 15 can be left alone overnight. And in this situation, you have a 10-year-old who's there with an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Thank you. That'll be better. A lighter. Can you go a little bit that way? Yeah.
Y'all have a dog in here?
Yeah, two of them. They're being really calm. We just lost 2 dogs, and we just got one. If I open the door, I'm not sure out the door, but everyone comes to see the ball. We lost 2 puppies. 2 rescue mixes. And that's probably one that we put down. We'll put one down.
I'll talk to him.
I know what type of
I haven't asked yet.
Shit, that's really.
I sent him like a little short narrative on his phone. He says he's gonna send it to Captain. He's on the boat, Captain.
Yeah.
He was, yeah. And he just sent it to her.
What's that, Max? Christopher Woodward? Are you not sure they got the truck?
Hey, y'all got everything together?
Yeah.
Is it all just this? Okay.
Yes?
Woodward.
I'm crossing the railroad track.
Okay.
So once you get there, then
You don't hear more.
yeah.
You can see police then go through the house and they're taking pictures of what they see as evidence. Police say they found a can of spiked iced tea, a twisted tea on the coffee table, and a vape pen in the reach of kids. Now at this point, you can see several officers are now on scene. And about 20 minutes after the officers first arrived at the house, the mom's on the phone again with the police, and this is where things start to get testy.
This is Alex Woodward. I am just trying to advise the officers to shut the front door.
Ma'am, you need to be here to be talking to your son.
Then about 20 minutes after that phone call, the ex-husband, the boy's father who called police, showed up.
Hey, you have your ID with you, sir? Yeah.
There's your shot.
Thank you. So,
How'd you find out that I had my
Mom's calling now. Mom's calling now.
I called him to check on his day, and you called what? My youngest. Yeah. Just hang on, buddy. So I called him to check on his. Home alone. And my first response was, what, to go to the grocery store or go to the gas station? He said, no, all the way to Duluth for a storage unit. And I was like, what the? Right. So, she just moved here a couple months ago. Heavy drinker.
No, are you almost here?
Can I speak to my son, please?
Are you almost here? Yes or no?
Can I speak to my
Guys, once you all.
Now, police redacted that part of the conversation with the dad explaining why he called police. Now, here is when the conversation picks up again as an officer is also on the phone once again with Woodward, who's the mom.
Hey, no, but they would have to be more than, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I still make my bad decisions at a 42-year-old age, 20-year-old.
Well, that's somebody might want to
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
what do you think as far as if you leave them?
Never.
If you leave them,
I've
by-
never left them.
I mean, I wouldn't either, but I'm saying, hey, what do you think? I mean, you the father. So if you say no, you would never. So I don't think you know what's up there.
He's right, he's right there.
I think.
You run it?
Huh?
You run it?
It's a large pistol.
I got a picture.
This, I mean, you're going to answer. Yeah. I don't need something.
Okay. I would like to be gone before you get here.
We've got your information, phone number?
Now it's about midnight, and the mom, Alexandra Woodward, and her boyfriend, John McHugh, make it back to the house.
Can I help you? Yeah. You go ahead and put your hands back for me. Me? Yep.
Yeah, put it in back.
Put your hands back in your back.
Guys, get her. I got my phone in my hand.
Both of y'all under arrest for cruelty to children, all right?
You got 'em?
Yep.
For what?
Cruelty to children. Go up here. Go up here. Go up here.
Cruelty to children?
Yep, that's what I said. Yep. This ain't a joke.
Here's the body cam video specifically of the mom being arrested.
Put your hand back for me.
Why?
Under arrest.
Why? Yeah, so you have to come here?
Cruel to
Here,
children.
drop the phone here.
Put everybody in the front.
Cruelty to children?
Yep, that's what I said.
Seriously?
Seriously?
That's what we do.
No, we know the guidelines.
What are the guidelines? What are the guidelines? Tell me what the guidelines are. I'm
95 on the
what the
female.
guidelines are.
37.
95
Hey, can I ask you, where are the kids?
With the father.
Where'd you at this one?
Okay.
Alright.
Come on.
You want to transport together?
Hey,
You good transporting
Yeah.
together?
hey,
What's up?
wait,
I got your phone, your vape.
well, can I write down some phone numbers?
One second.
They'll be able to let you do that, Jill.
Okay.
And what about your dogs?
That's why I was gonna ask
Yeah.
the neighbor if you could
Which neighbor?
do the dogs, that one right there.
Okay. Need that there awake right now?
No, they're good for probably tonight,
Okay.
if I could just.
You could probably call them from the jail and let them know or something.
Alright. You got the right to remain silent here.
Get a bag. If you got a bag.
Here's Woodward's mugshot per the Gordon News. Woodward and her husband were put under arrest on a charge of cruelty to children, and that carries a maximum of 5 years in prison. Police also released body cam video of Woodward and McHugh in the back seat of a cruiser being taken to jail.
Alright. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say or do can be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him or her present with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning as you wish. You can decide any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements. Do you understand each of the rights I've given to you?
Yes, can I,
1 second. Having these rights in mind, do you wish to talk to me now?
yes, can
Okay.
I ask one question?
Yes,
Can
you
you
can.
pull my vehicle in the driveway?
We'll get to that in a minute, okay?
I'm sorry?
We'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
So,
No.
what time did you leave the house today?
No.
No. Can you pull my vehicle in the driveway?
What time did you leave
I'm
the
not
house?
answering.
You're not answering?
Listen. Listen to me.
Yes,
Okay?
sir.
I'm not playing no games. I'm not doing that, okay? I'm not your
Neither am
dumbass. I'm not your dumbass, alright? He's asking you a question. He read you your rights, and you said you will talk to him. Do you wish to talk to him? I'm not talking to you right now.
She wants
I'm
to
not
use her
talking to you.
rights.
I'm not talking
Do you
to
want
you.
to
I'm
use your
talking to you.
rights?
Do you want to speak to him? Yes or no?
Yeah, I'll speak to you. Can you?
Okay,
pull-
close the door. She's not
Okay.
here. She's not here.
Wow.
Lawyer.
Yep.
What do you want to lock the house with?
You can leave it unlocked.
We can leave it unlocked?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Alright, sir. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him or her present with you while being questioned.
Curious because they're not your kids.
If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, it won't be appointed to you. You can decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements. Do you understand each of the rights I've given to you?
Yes.
Okay, having these rights in mind, do you want to talk to me now?
No.
Okay.
Why are you getting arrested? They're not your kids.
It's a good question. I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is insane.
Alright, I got your phone and your vape. I got your phone, key, and cigarette. Got anything else?
They tighten these things so hard.
Hmm?
They tighten. Why do they make it so tight? Just for fun.
See this?
Oh yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
This is crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
This is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Please don't sue. I know.
Okay.
Besides, I'm not a lawyer. Please.
I know. I remember the lawyer's name
Please.
that we talked
Nothing.
to. I know. Wow, it's gonna be a long night. Unreal.
37 Central.
$37.
1076, code 3, 1 male, 1 female, start mileage 570.
Temporary.
Central 20th is order.
37.
Piece of shit.
David Boy Victor 7953, DBV 7953.
He got what he wanted on.
30 something. Everything's valid. Just attached to this properly.
Temporary.
Third on Central 10.
This is insane.
What do you think my neighbors think?
Temporary.
Central.
I know how to drive here. Or...
Temporary.
You good? Okay. Alright.
Temporary.
30 Central 20.
Temporary.
I'm already making mad.
There has been pushback on Woodward's arrest. Reason magazine published a story that tries to give her side of the story. It reads, before Woodward and McHugh left to go to that storage unit more than an hour away, Woodward made her boys dinner and then they played a board game. She was getting foot surgery. The next week, she wanted to get some stuff done at this storage unit before she couldn't walk. The boys did their homework and then they went to bed. Before the boys went to sleep, she told them that she was going to run an errand to this storage unit an hour away, the article says. We found pictures on a fundraising site showing Woodward's kids sewing and pumping gas to make the argument that they are old enough to stay home alone. The article also talks about a new law in Georgia that gives parents the right to decide when their children are old enough to stay home alone unless the kids are put in serious and imminent risk. The problem for Woodward and McHugh, the article says, may be that this law doesn't go into effect until July 1st of this year. The article also says that Woodward right now is only allowed to talk to her kids on the phone and is required to undergo drug, alcohol, parent and domestic violence assessments. And the article says that McHugh could lose his job because he's an airport worker and he's facing a felony charge. Woodward's attorney says that her charge has now been reduced to 2 counts of reckless conduct, and that still could put her in jail for up to a year and could give her a fine of up to $1,000. Woodward is receiving legal help from a group that's called Parents USA, which says it is a parents' rights group. Joining us now from Georgia to talk about this case is family law attorney Randy Kessler. It's always great to have you on Law and Crime. I know you watched some of the body cam video. We watched it as well. What's your takeaway from how this story began with police arriving at the house? You have these, a 10-year-old boy, an 8-year-old boy, and I'll let you take it from there.
So family law is emotion more than practical common sense, right? And it seems like in this case, what happened is children were left alone, maybe a poor decision, but the problem is it was separated parents, and the other parent could have done a lot of things, right? He could call his lawyer. He could call the kids and stay on the phone with them. He could go see the kids. He could have a friend check on them. But to call a uniformed policeman to go over and see them just seems extreme. It seems to make sense now that apparently there's a modification of custody case pending. A whole bunch of thoughts go through my mind, and that there's so many bigger problems in the world. I'm not saying this was right what the mom did, but there are ways to address it. And there's a way to teach better behavior. And it's not throwing her in the back of a squad car and questioning her like a criminal that's committed an armed felony.
Because there are these guidelines from the Georgia Department of Children and Family Services that kind of gives this age rundown of when children should be left alone at home. Never do it, 8 and under. And then you kind of get into this, between 8 and 12 area where it should only be for a couple of hours. And then this line is in there that I thought was interesting, saying like based off maturity, which seems like a very, kind of a thing a parent would be able to gauge, but the law really wouldn't. Though there have been these guidelines that can be applied to this case in some ways, what does the law say about how old a kid needs to be left alone at home, especially when it's a 10-year-old looking after an 8-year-old?
So it sort of reminds me of the famous statement by Justice Potter Stewart from the Supreme Court, who said, we can't really define pornography, but we know it when we see it. There's no definition of it. And apparently, these children seem to be okay. They reacted fine. There are cameras in the home. It's very hard to have laws that are vague like this. Police officers like laws that are black and white. You were going 60 in a 55. That's a crime. And by the way, Chris, if you ever get pulled over for doing 60 in a 55, you're either getting a warning or a traffic ticket. You're not going to jail. And a lot of people could argue that going 60 in a 55 or going 70 in a 55 is a lot more potentially deadly than what this mom did. But this law is vague. And I don't know that there's a one-size-fits-all. I think there has to be some discretion. I don't know that the police use their discretion well in this case. I'm not there. But you can't say a child of 14 can't be left alone and a child of 15 can. When is that automatic line? When does a child become mature? Every family is different. And in this case, mom made a judgment call. And I'm imagining if it goes all the way to trial, she's going to get some deference if she has otherwise been a good and responsible mother.
Because you look at this, and I think there's part of this story that's certainly the law, which is what we're focusing on. Like what we're watching on this body cam, is this actually a crime? And then there's the other part of it where I'm sure we'll see it in the comments section about, she goes to Duluth, and we're both in Georgia, and that's about an hour and a half probably from where she is up there in Calhoun. And I think if an 8 and a 10-year-old. What if one kid gets sick? He throws up, and the dad apparently wasn't close by. It took him about 20, 30 minutes to be able to get to the house. And there's all these things that could have happened and the danger of what could have happened in the house. Why would that not be a crime, considering that there are things that, a 10 and an 8-year-old could do? What if he pulled on some furniture and the furniture comes crashing down on him? Why does the law not apply to the threat of what could happen?
Well, I think that the problem, the issue is with the way you're framing the question, Chris. You're a good reporter, and you're putting me on the spot. But I don't think it's that what she did was good, and I don't think that she should not be punished for it. But the question is, how do we correct the behavior? This is not someone who killed somebody that should be locked away and away from society. This is a mother who made a bad decision. First thing is protect the children, right? Let's protect the children. Let's find a way. And that was my first answer. Send somebody over there. Go over there yourself. Stay on the phone with the children. But putting the mom in jail right away and sending her to jail, is that going to fix the behavior? So I'm not saying the law shouldn't apply to her and that what she did was right. But there are other types of crimes. There are crimes where you get a citation to show up in court and defend yourself. What happens, again, when you're speeding? They don't haul you off to jail and lock you away. They give you a ticket. They say you've committed a crime or violation, and you will show up in court and defend yourself. And either you will be punished for having committed a crime, or you will be found not guilty and not have to pay a fine. So to me, it's how the crime or the violation is enforced and handled. But I agree with you. The essence of your question was, can we just say this is okay and don't do anything about it? No, I think there's something that has to be done about it. And we have to say that at a certain age, children should not be left alone. And we're not going to allow that. But what's the fix? I don't think the fix in this case was going to jail and the trauma it caused to the children with all the police uniformed police officers. It's something we probably need to work on better. I mean, that's what Parents USA is working on. That's the organization that's hired the lawyer, David DeLugas, who's helping the mom, is trying to do.
And another thing I noticed on the body cam video is police argue that, or say in making the arrest, that there was alcohol in the house and there was a vape pen. And from the body cam video, it seems like it was an open container of twisted tea that was on a coffee table, and then there's a vape pen in the house that might have been, they were taking a picture of like where you put your keys. So it wasn't like a vape pen was in, for example, like the kid's bedroom or something like that. What does the law say? Like, when can you apply that, well, there were open containers of alcohol in the house in reach of kids, where, if you have alcohol in your home and the kid's 8 and 10 and they can walk around the house, like technically I would look at that and say that alcohol could be in the reach of a kid at all times if a parent's not home and you have alcohol in the house.
Right, or even if the parent is home and upstairs asleep. So it is a very, the word discretion comes into play a lot in the law. And the officers have to use their discretion, but also we have to look at the source. And we don't know, and I don't know what they were told, what the report was, but it was from the estranged, father of the children, someone who was obviously not getting along with the mother. They're fighting about custody now. So what did that person, the reporting person, tell the police officers was going on? Did they say the children are exposed to this kind of danger and that kind of danger, and I'm really worried about them? Did they just say, oh, mom's gone, I just want you to do a check and just make sure they're doing okay? Because they're acting in an emergency type situation. The first thing to do is to protect the children. And we don't know what's in their heads. And we're going to find out what the report was, what the call was, what the 911 tape says. And then we'll see. And they probably did act appropriately given the information they had at the time. Protect the children, yes. Arrest the mom right there and then, or give her a court date. That's a question that we should figure out maybe a little better through our legislature.
And you look at this story, and you're a divorce lawyer, so a lot of this, you're a good person to talk to with this, and it's messy, and that as well as anybody. And in this case, you have a dad who told police that his son had told him they were scared when they called him, and he said he would never leave the kids at home. But then there's this aspect of, we don't know what's been going on in their personal life to get them to this point. How does the fact that this was an ex-husband calling the police on a mom factor into how police handle this situation?
Well, I don't think the police had a lot of time to really get deep into the psychology of it. They had to act based on the information they had. But down the road, it is going to play out in divorce court, when they're in court and the father says, she left the children alone. And then the mother's going to say, you exposed the children to police and had them come. It's a combination of facts. I don't know what's better for the children or what's worse for the children, being left alone or having their mother arrested and armed uniformed police come to their house at night and talk to them. So there are a lot of factors that go into this, and family law is messy. It's messy, messy, messy. I think if there's a custody case, this shouldn't be or couldn't be the only fact. If this is the only bad decision mom has made, then she's probably okay. If this is a pattern and she's done this a lot and done other things, then she has a real risk of losing custody of her children or having some sanctions or restrictions or supervision imposed. But again, on its face, I think dad could have proved that mom left the children alone without getting her arrested. It's just going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But you're absolutely right, Chris. Family law is messy, and it's a lot deeper than just, crimes. Did you have intent to commit the crime? Did you commit the crime? What's the punishment? That's all the state is interested in. That's all law enforcement is interested in. But now we've got a deeper issue of what's long-term best for the children. And again, I don't know anything about dad. He might be a wonderful guy, and maybe the children would be better served living with him. Maybe he's not a wonderful guy. What are mom's other attributes and skills and her home life and her schedule? So there's a lot more that goes into a custody case than goes into this. Did she commit the crime of reckless endangerment or reckless conduct and leaving the children alone in a dangerous situation? Those are the facts of that case. I don't know that it rises to that level. And remember, in a criminal case, the state has to prove its case beyond a reasonable doubt. In the family law case, it's just tipping the scales. Which is better for the children? And so there are two big cases going on here. This poor mother, she's now also got to pay lawyers to defend her in the criminal case and find lawyers to do the family law case. The family's in a world of hurt now. I wish there was a therapeutic way to resolve this. Mediation is on the rise. It happens a lot in family law. This case might be a good one for cooperative parenting therapy, some sort of alternative dispute resolution. But what do I know? Maybe they've been through all that, and this is, where they stand. They haven't been able to do it themselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's just tough to kind of see it play out like this, because then it takes what was a frustrating and in some ways private dispute that they were having, and then this happens, and certainly the safety of the children, I thought, but it's something, I mean, hey, we're talking about it. When you look at the charge that she was initially charged with, as well as John McHugh, which is her boyfriend, who was also arrested, and it was for cruelty to children, which they seemed very shocked in the body cam video that that's what the charge would be. That's a charge where they could be sentenced to 5 years in prison. What is the bar to reach that charge? Why were they hit with that charge initially?
Well, they're making a judgment call, the police on the scene at the time. And again, we don't know what other information the police officers had, what they were told by the reporting person, by the father of the children. So given all the facts they had, they probably charged that. And I can't imagine that's going to be the final charge. I understand it's going to be reduced, or it looks like it's going to be reduced. And I think the mother's probably going to end up walking with, maybe she's got to take a class in how to be a better parent. And that would be the result of the whole thing. Or maybe she's going to go to trial and try to prove the point that she was not guilty. The best thing is for this to go away and for them to focus on their family. But child cruelty, that's like people putting their cigarettes out on their children's chest, or people, feeding their children alcohol, or not putting them in a seatbelt and putting them in a car and driving drunk. Cruelty to children is usually a much more serious crime than the set of facts that I've seen on the body cam, which is pretty much all I've seen.
Yeah, and I thought it interesting. John McHugh, who's the boyfriend, he was facing these charges. Why would he, as someone who's not a biological parent, be facing charges in this case as well as the mom?
Well, that can happen. There are non-biological parents that abuse children, that do bad things to children. Again, did he even know the children were there? Did he just pick her up? Did he try to stop her? But at first blush, it looks like he and her left two young children home alone for an extended period of time, maybe within the reach of alcohol and vaping devices. That's enough to get over the threshold. You don't have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that they did it to arrest them, right? All you need is a reasonable suspicion. And they had that. They had enough there, I think, to make the arrest and then sort it out later. And again, with children, it's special. The first thing we do is protect the children. So let's, separate the possible offender from the possible victims, the children, and sort it out later. And unfortunately, a lot of people get caught up like this mother does, where children are removed from a home because of a false report or some sort of report, and they're reunited later. There's a lot of trauma in the interim, but as a society, first thing we do is protect the children. If there's any risk of harm to children, we've made the decision as a society to protect the children. And then if there's other harm because of a false report, we deal with that later. You have to make judgment calls sometimes. This is the one the law makes and the police officers made.
Yeah, and to your point, I mean, you think of police at the time, they're making a decision on the information they have, like to your point with kind of the speeding ticket, kind of talking about that, where it's, if you're over 65 miles per hour, like you could get a speeding ticket. That's very black and white. Children and maturity levels, it's always subjective in a lot of ways. I can think my kids are far more mature than anybody else's, and then someone else could be like, those kids are not. Where, how do we then apply a law? Like for you as a lawyer, what would you like to see put on the books that can prevent situations like this, or just make it more clear for police officers to know what to do and know what right and wrong is?
I think it comes more to the training of the police officers, because I don't like laws that are as black and white. In family law, in Georgia, for instance, a 14-year-old child can elect which parent they want to live with. And it's very hard to overturn that election. Well, not all 14-year-olds are created equal. There's some 12-year-olds that know exactly what's good for them. And there's some 18-year-olds and there's some 60-year-olds that don't even know what's good for us this day and age. So I think it's very hard to say at age such and such, you should be left alone. I think we can do presumptions. At age 10, 11, 12, maybe those ages and below, the presumption is it's unsafe to leave them home alone. But if the officer believes that they're in good shape and they're okay, they don't have to make an arrest. I think you got to build in some discretion, but a lot of it comes along with the training. And again, police are doing a hard job and they're only acting on the information they have. Each case is going to be uniquely decided, and this judge is going to have to look at what was told to the police officers. Did they act according, and they're not going to be punished. The police officers, either there's going to be a conviction or not. Police officers arrest people that are innocent all the time. A lot would argue too often. But what we do as a society, again, when there's a suspicion, a reasonable suspicion or probable cause, we arrest people, we investigate the facts, and either we bring it to trial or we dismiss the case. And we're still in the preliminary part of this case. The district attorney is going to look at this, and I imagine there's going to be a resolution well short of trial that's going to give mom I don't want to say slap on the wrist because that sounds too incidental. This has scared her. I cannot imagine she's going to do it again. If she does a second offense, then she will have the book thrown at her. But to your question, if there was a perfect law that could be enacted to prevent this, it would have been done by now. It's a question of people working together and figuring out what is the right language. So the cop can Google the law like he was apparently doing and say, okay, I have the discretion as a police officer to decide in this case whether there was danger to the children or not. And then he makes a decision and it gets sorted out later. I think that's the best we can do, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, it's a complicated case, and I know that you deal with this type of law all the time. Great person to help give us perspective on what we saw in this body cam video. Randy Kessler, it's always great to have you on Law and Crime. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much.
That will do it for On the Case, presented by Law and Crime. Subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify. I'm Chris Stewart. We'll see you next time.